Ho Chi Minh, old Saigon city. What the city don't know, the city ain't missing. 7 million people, a seething mass of humanity, a living, breathing organism, constantly on the move. Documentary is never impartial. A filmmaker's interests and ethics always shine through. Personally, I've always had a respect for artists, those driven by passion, not always grounded in economic reality. Tran Dan is a video artist. I asked Tran where he finds inspiration in such a bustling city.
Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh có rất nhiều điều thú vị. Đó là về riêng tôi là một nghệ sĩ thị giác thì tôi nhìn cuộc sống xung quanh bằng hình ảnh và âm thanh và những cái góc cạnh. Tôi rất thích những cái cột đèn ở đường phố và những đường dây điện. Chúng dân rất chằng chịt, ngoằn nghèo lung tung, nhưng tôi rất thích bởi cái dáng vẻ cổ của nó. Ngoài ra tôi rất thích những cảnh buôn bán ồn ào, thậm chí cả tiếng chửi lộn, tiếng gây gổ huyên náo tôi rất thích. Bởi vì đó là chất liệu cuộc sống mà tôi đang quan tâm. Sự khác biệt giữa ngày và đêm ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Ban ngày thành phố Hồ Chí Minh là một thành phố rất năng động và nhộn nhịp, xe cộ qua lại ồn ào và đôi khi nó làm chúng ta rất là mệt mỏi, chán nản và thậm chí căm ghét cả nó. Nhưng về đêm thì khi bạn đến, bạn sẽ có được một sự thoải mái, dễ chịu, rất là hay. Chẳng hạn bạn sẽ cảm nhận được cái không khí mát, sạch sẽ, rồi cảm nhận được sự yên ắng và một cái gì đó rất bình lặng, rất tĩnh lặng. Tôi yêu thích nghệ thuật video art bởi vì theo tôi thì nghệ thuật video art sẽ tiếp cận được gần với người xem gần nhất. Họ có thể nắm bắt, họ có thể sờ, họ có thể ngửi thấy, họ nghe thấy tất cả âm thanh hình ảnh trong video art của tôi. Ở Việt Nam thì các nghệ sĩ khi làm những nghệ thuật đương đại thì hầu như không bán được và rất khó khăn trong việc quảng bá những cái nghệ thuật đương đại, và không thể kiếm tiền, chắc chắn là không thể kiếm tiền được bằng hoạt động những nghệ thuật đương đại. Nhưng tôi tin trong tương lai nghệ thuật đương đại, cụ thể là video art sẽ bán được, và cuộc sống của nghệ sĩ thị giác, những người làm nghệ thuật đương đại sẽ dễ dàng hơn, thoải mái hơn.
From Ho Chi Minh City, I head northeast, up into the hills to visit the tourist town of Dalat was set up by the French as a cool climate retreat from the surrounding tropical heat. It is still very much a tourism town, with many activities for both foreign and local tourists. I really enjoyed wandering the local market, where due to the temperate climate, produce was available not found in other regions. One tourism activity that has become synonymous with Dalat is to take a guided motorcycle tour around the surrounding countryside. The story goes, veterans of the South Vietnamese Army set up the Easy Rider tours because they found it hard to get other work. I decided to take a tour myself and asked my guide what I could expect.
Và đặc biệt thì tâm lý của khách nước ngoài, họ khi đi du lịch họ muốn khám phá về cái cuộc sống, về văn hóa của du lịch, trong văn hóa truyền thống, phong tục tập quán của người Việt Nam, và đặc biệt là những người dân địa phương. Và họ muốn đó là lý do tại sao tôi muốn lái xe, thì tôi muốn chở họ là để khám phá ra một cái vùng đất hay là một cái văn hóa, một cái truyền thống tại đây. Thì trên xe họ có thể sử dụng cái camera, thì họ có thể khi mà họ trên đường đi họ có thể ngắm nhìn bất cứ cảnh gì họ thích, thì họ có thể nói chúng tôi có thể dừng lại và cho họ dùng mấy camera và họ chụp tấm ảnh đó, hay là họ thấy một cái gì đó. Tại vì cái tâm lý của họ rất là tò mò, khi họ đến Việt Nam họ thấy cái gì mà họ lạ thì có thể họ ngừng lại và họ sử dụng cái máy truyền hình của họ, hay là họ dùng cái máy camera họ chụp tấm hình họ.
It was great to get out into the country, to not have to worry about getting lost and just enjoy the view. Our first stop was to visit the home of a blacksmith. We were welcomed like family, and it was fascinating to get this glimpse of rural Vietnamese life. I was offered a shot of a homemade alcoholic brew made from rice and various reptile body parts. It was supposed to have a Viagra-like effect. I suggest it's maybe better as a cure for constipation, and best taken towards the end of your motorcycle tour. We went on to visit a silkworm farm, a waterfall, and got to see a display of traditional weaving. For lunch, we stopped in at a local diner for a traditional meal of pho, a beef noodle soup. For those wanting to know how to cook pho, you just need to add your beef to a huge pot and boil the living crap out of it. The rest of the afternoon was spent visiting some more tourist sites and meeting a local man with an impressive rock collection. That night I went to a local bar and by chance met the original Easy Riders, the guys who set the whole thing up. This was a highlight for me, to share a few beers with these tourism innovators. I was taken by their passion for their country and their desire to share that passion with visitors. So would I recommend doing an Easy Rider tour? Damn right. But just go easy on the snake wine. Both its effects are not very conducive with motorbike touring. The next location I visit is the coastal town of Nha Trang. I decide to take a tour to Monkey Island, where I've been told monkeys have been trained to ride bikes. Now I must be honest with you, I don't really like monkeys. I find them a little intimidating. I was told this was the king of the monkeys. Show off. The performance started with some well-trained dogs, followed by some well-dressed monkeys. And finally, what I'd been waiting for. Monkeys on bikes. On returning to Nha Trang, I visited the Po Nagar Temple. I really like visiting historical religious sites. There is something about all those decades of prayer and worship that seems to give places like this a real serenity. Another thing I like doing is visiting local markets, getting a sense of the daily life of a place. Everyone seemed to have a special role. There was duck woman, rock breaking woman, bean woman, and pig offal woman. Hang on a minute, where are all the men? That night, I wondered what my role was, and whether as a tourist one can have a positive impact on locals, other than just teaching a waitress 101 stupid things to do with your hands. I got the answer to my question the next day when I met May Locke. Locke was a struggling cyclo driver. A chance meeting with a Norwegian couple and their gift to Locke of a small camera led to him changing careers and realising his talent as a photographer. Self-taught, Locke's photos have been exhibited around the world. Like all creative people, Locke has a real vision for what he hopes to portray in his work.
I think that the good photo, especially the children and the old people. From the children, you can see that very natural, and the children very innocent. so it can get you the very nice photo. And from the old people portrait that we call on their face, you can see a lot of wrinkle. And each wrinkle can tell you a little bit of their experience during their life. In Europe, nowadays, the family closeness that's almost gone. Old people now they put in the old house and nobody taking care of them. So when someone see the togetherness of the photo, it's mean between two generations, the grandchildren with the grandma or grandfather sitting together and smiling and sharing the happiness together. It reminds them something about the family love.
Visiting Hoi An is like visiting a living museum. It was the most important trading port in Southeast Asia in the 16th and 17th century. It traded items like silk, ceramics and spices with China, Japan, Europe, India and even Arabia. Like all port cities, all these influences have left an indelible mark. So revered was Hoi An to the Japanese, they believed the very heart of all Asia, represented by a dragon, lived deep beneath the city. About 200 years ago, one long-forgotten people gained power over another, and other ports became bigger centres for trade. Hoi An sat forgotten, the jewel of the South China Sea, left to crumble and decay. Then, over time, visitors came by foot when once they came by sea. The dragon awoke from its slumber, and once again the sounds of artisans and merchants filled the ancient streets. While wandering the old town early one morning, I came across a group of women performing exercises. Being on the road and a little out of shape, I asked if I could join in. I then joined the group for breakfast, where I met Tuan, who ran a local beauty parlour. I visited Tuan's work, where I met Eric, a Swiss sculptor. Given Hoi An's history, I thought Eric would be a good person to interview about the city.
The first time when I came to Hoi An 6 years ago, I felt this special energy of the city. And I didn't really know what it was, but I was really touched about that energy. And then I realized that the value of Hoi An, it's so balanced, very, very well balanced. And you can see the situation, the geographic situation, it's in the middle of Vietnam, between north and south. It's in the middle of the climate, between the cold and the warm. So, I mean, you can feel the situation very balanced, and this is the mentality of the people here that give you, even as a foreigner, all this feeling. I was accepted from the first moment when I start to live here. I need some help. I receive the help. If they have their parties in the family or in the quarter of the town, I'm invited. From the first moment I'm a part of this life here. So this is what impressed me the most, I have to say. The point of view of handworking, that gives me a very strong therapy feeling. It relaxes me, and to be creative, to look for the right form. This is a therapy of life.
While filming at Eric's shop, a friend of his, a sham dancer, arrived. I persuaded her to dance on camera, and another aspect of Hoi An's rich history was revealed to me. The Sham people were believed to have settled central Vietnam from Borneo. From the 7th to the 10th century, they controlled the spice and silk trade, and Hoi An was their commercial capital. Wow, no wonder this place is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Eric suggested I visit Marble Mountain, about 25 kilometres north. It is a centre for stoneworkers and also has some Buddhist shrines and subterranean caves. I wandered deep down into the mountain, where I found sculptors had created a vision of hell. Maybe not the best place for a family outing. The ancient imperial city of Hue, on the banks of the Perfume River, is my next destination. I visited the Citadel, the home of the Ning emperors, where once stood the Forbidden City, open only to the emperors and their concubines, and where trespass was punishable by death. Not much is really left on the site. It took a bit of a beating in not one, but 2 military campaigns. I then take a dragon boat tour to visit numerous historical sites, including a pagoda and the tombs of the emperors. For my Hue story, I meet up with a local couch surfer, Ni.
At the moment, I'm a student. I'm doing economics as a major of the Bachelor of Commerce. I hope to run a rice company because my parents, at the moment, they own a rice company, but it's really small one. And I just want to apply what I have been doing and I have been learning to make it very scientific method.
Ni decides to take me for a tour outside the city to visit a little-known historical site.
Today we will go into a bridge, a traditional bridge of Hue, and it has been there for 260 years old. It has a historical story about it. Like there's a lady, she doesn't have any children, but she's the wife of the very rich man. People there, when they have a lake, they can't cross the lake. So she thought that she doesn't have children and she has a lot of money, so she built a bridge for everyone.
While at the bridge, we were approached by a fortune teller and decide to get our palms read.
In Vietnam, people really believe in luck and in the destiny. They think what happened to them is something that God arranged already. And yeah, most of people really be careful with something they do. For example, for someone it's like the reseller in a shop, you shouldn't go in the morning and return something. They think on that day they will have a bad luck. But nowadays it's changing a lot about the fortune teller because young people, they don't really believe in them compared with the older people and all the previous generation.
My reading started well. I'll be rich, I will live to a ripe old age, and then things took an interesting turn.
So I get married for 4 years and that's the end of it.
No, but then you will have another wife.
All right.
No, first time you have one more, you have baby. But how long baby can you?
Nearby the bridge was a museum housing traditional artefacts. As I filmed, the elderly attendant gave me a demonstration of how each item worked. A star was born. I think this delightful old woman had waited a long, long time to finally realise her acting dream. 1,000 years ago, Hanoi became the capital of the Day Viet Kingdom. Since then, numerous invaders, including the Chinese, French and Japanese, have occupied the city. A recent ranking predicted Hanoi to be the fastest growing city in the world in terms of GDP growth. The Old Quarter is a hive of commerce, a warren of narrow streets, each specialising in a particular trade. I found relief from the rush and the din at the local beer hoi bars. The beer is cheap and brewed daily. For me, it was like a meditation, to be still and just watch the flurry. I met up with Lan, a hospitality club member, who gave me a half-day tour of her beloved city.
I'm a junior at the Institute for International Relations. So after graduating, my plan is to have a master's degree and then working as a businesswoman. Maybe one of the places that the tourists would like to visit is the flower market. The flower market is open from 3 a.m. up till like 5 a.m. in the morning. So if you want to visit the flower market, you will have to get up very early in the morning. I find out that my work at school and my part-time job is very exhausting, and usually if I get up early in the morning and have a walk around the market, I will feel very refreshed. It's kind of a way to refresh myself, and also you can get to see the fresh flower we got just picked up from the garden and then driven to the market. After visiting the flower market, you can drive back to the short lake and see the people doing exercise around the lake. One thing about the lifestyle of the Hanoian that is so different from other countries, that they lead a very healthy lifestyle. They wake up like maybe 4 or 5 a.m. and then exercise around the lake. And what is kind of a funny thing or a nice thing to see, even young people, old people, like doing the exercise and walking around. Hanoi is very famous for its food and drinking. One of my favorite restaurants that I usually hang out with my friends is a place called Quán. It is in the outskirts of Hanoi, and it outlooks the West Lake. The scenery, the food there is excellent, and also you can have some time relaxing and enjoying the view and talking.
From Hanoi, I head northwest towards Mai Chau, where I want to do a homestay visit with a local hill tribe family. Lan, my Hanoi interview, is joining me for the trip to help with translations. She has never been to this region of Vietnam, so it is a new experience for both of us. There are 54 ethnic groups in Vietnam. Most are located in the remote highlands. I love the legend of how all the ethnic groups came about. A dragon king from the southern lowlands married a beautiful princess from the northern highlands. They made their home in the mountains, where the princess gave birth to 100 sons. After a while, the Dragon King pined for his watery lowland home and decided to return, taking with him 50 of his sons. The remaining 50 sons are said to be the ancestors of the current hill tribe minorities. The village of Ban Luc, where we stayed, was made up of an ethnic group called White Thai. 400 years ago, this group moved to Vietnam from Thailand, turning marshlands into fields along the rivers and the mountainous valleys. It was a great experience to stay with a family in their traditional stilt house, with bamboo slate floor and palm leaf roof. To see how they cook, to wander the idyllic village and get a glimpse of rural life. We got to try local specialities like bamboo rice and a homemade alcoholic beverage drank through bamboo straws. Trang, our host, explains more what a homestay involves.
Người Thái rất là yêu quý bạn bè, cái đấy là cái điểm thứ nhất. Mà cái tâm hồn của người Thái bao giờ cũng ôm ấp tất cả mọi người, là rất là yêu quý bạn bè và rất là thân thiện với bạn bè. Cái điều thứ nhất, không bao giờ là đi với người Thái, ở với người Thái là chống ngủ, là bị lạnh và ăn để không no. Tuy rằng người nghèo nhất, cái đấy là tình cảm thứ nhất để du khách có thể đến đây. Mà cái nền văn hóa dân tộc cũng cái từ đấy, cái từ cái công cụ sản xuất, bởi vì mình là nông dân, hợp tác xã nông lâm nghiệp, thế nên là cũng từ cái công cụ sản xuất này, lên nương xuống ruộng, thế nên là có những nó tự hát lên những bài ca tiếng hát, có để là tự biên tự diễn, có để cảm nhận cho mình là một người rất là tự tin, cho nên là ra những tự biểu diễn ra những đời ca tiếng hát, những cái điệu múa, những tiếng kèn vang để mình tự ca tự hát để làm vui cho động viên bản thân mình và động viên cho bản làng, nó có nền văn hóa nó có từ đấy.
I must say the song and dance show was fantastic. The people appeared proud of their culture and tourism seemed to be helping and keeping it alive.
Du khách đến đây rất thuận tiện cho Việt Nam, rất nhiều người biết Việt Nam và rất nhiều người biết bản lác hơn, là về kinh tế phát triển hơn và vật chất cũng tốt đẹp hơn và tinh thần cũng rất được cởi mở. Nhưng tuy thuận tiện như thế nhưng mà cũng còn có một bức xúc khó khăn, bởi vì mỗi ngày một đông lên thì nó ảnh hưởng đến môi trường, nó ảnh hưởng đến cái xã hội, nó ảnh hưởng đến để duy trì và được tốt và giữ gìn bản sắc thì chúng mỗi người dân chúng tôi tuyên truyền cho con cháu, cho con em mình, và mỗi người tự bản thân mình là giữ gìn bản sắc văn hóa, với lại là mỗi ngày một tốt đẹp hơn và đẹp hơn, và giữ những cái mà mình đã làm được như trước và không bao giờ để cho nó phai đi. Cái đấy là những cái gì mà tôi mong muốn.
Heritage listed Halong Bay is a major tourist attraction in Vietnam, and rightly so. The bay is home to over 1,000 jungle-clad limestone pillars, several of which are hollow and contain enormous caves. Despite the frenetic tourist trade and the countless diesel-powered junks, I did manage to experience some moments of serenity, where I just sat in awe at this amazing seascape. I next visited Cat Bar Island, the largest island in the bay. Half of Cat Bar is National Park, its limestone hills not suitable for farming. I found a great little seafood cafe and befriended the owner. I asked Tuan how tourism had changed the island.
Cái cuộc sống của mọi người dân trên đảo là trước năm 1990 thì cuộc sống của mọi người cũng rất là vất vả, khổ cực, phải cũng một số đánh bắt cá và một số trồng trọt, cho nên là cuộc sống rất là vất vả. Nhưng mà từ khi có phát triển và mang về du lịch đến nay, cuộc sống của người dân trên đảo có phần cải thiện hơn. Và đối với vườn quốc gia Cát Bà thì thực sự là rất đẹp và rất là hoang sơ, nhưng mà đến nay đấy, từ khi có du lịch đến nay thì tức là một số con đường đã được mở thêm cái tuyến đường vào vườn quốc gia. Đương nhiên là tức là đối với mỗi con người ta lại có một cái ý tưởng và ý nghĩ khác nhau. Nếu như mà theo cái ý nghĩ của tôi thì cái gì nó thuộc về hoang sơ dân dã thì cứ để cho nó thuộc về hoang sơ dân dã, không lên tức là mình phá bỏ nó đi. Thế nhưng mà đó là theo cái ý nghĩ cao của cá nhân tôi thôi. Còn tất cả mọi cái ý nghĩ của lãnh đạo hoặc của mọi người thì cái việc làm đó thì tôi cũng không thể biết được. Nhưng mà theo ý của tôi là tức là cái gì thuộc về thiên nhiên hoang dại thì cứ để cho nó thiên nhiên hoang dại.
Tuan offered to take me to see a floating village, where people farmed fish in small enclosures. Families live here full time, only visiting shore when they need supplies. While filming, I noticed a distressed fish gasping for air. I was informed that many fish are getting ill and dying. I'd seen a lot of pollution on my Halong Bay tour, fuel spills and floating debris. It seemed tourism here was a double-edged sword, providing both a livelihood for the locals, but also destroying the very thing people came to see. If ever I'd seen a place that was in need of ecotourism strategies, it's Halong Bay. My trip to Vietnam has come to an end. What an amazing country, rich in history and cultural diversity, a young and vibrant population. I really had a ball. Adios, pilgrims. Hope to see you on the road.